sister being placed temporarily with their grandmother, Penny Powell. And the case that we rescheduled for today was Mr. Hendricks's motion for temporary custody of Nathan. And we heard the legitimation back in March, and then we continued it to June the 10th. And then there was some snafu about Mr. Hendricks needing to be questioned about some criminal activity in Spalding County for which he was cleared, but it stopped us from having the hearing that day. So this is the first day we've had to come back. So that's what's on the plate. And we're doing this hybrid. I have the lawyer for Mr. Hendricks, Ms. Crane, is in the courtroom. Ms. Miller, who is filling in, who is the guardian ad litem attorney for Nathan, is here. And Mr. Skabronic, who represents DFACS, is here. And the reason they're here and not on, they're on Zoom because you can see them on your big screen, I hope, is that they were in my 1 o'clock hearing. So, and it was live here in the courtroom. So those of you that are on Zoom are the case manager for DFACS, Ms. Love, and Mr. Hendricks, who is the move-on or petitioner about the temporary custody, and Mr. Norris, who is the father of the other child, who I don't think we're dealing with today, Naomi, and Nathan's mother, Brooke Norris, and then the temporary custodian, maternal grandmother, Penny Powell, is also here. Somebody started to say something. Do you disagree that, or do you agree that Naomi is not at issue today? I don't hear anybody saying otherwise.
I can't hear, Donna.
Nobody had said anything until just now. Ms. Miller said she agrees that we're only here to deal with Nathan.
Yeah, I was under the impression that everything was being handled today.
That's smooth.
Well, what else is there to handle? The only thing I haven't, I've just spent a couple of minutes looking back through the file, was Mr. Hendricks's request for temporary custody of his son. I don't have any paperwork from you that I can recall, and I look back in the file. Did you file a motion for custody?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay, so what other issue would there be?
I don't know. I thought that this was supposed to be the ending, like whether or not we were going to close the case for DFACS as well.
Well, DFACS wrote a report that I haven't seen, but it was circulated to y'all and to your lawyers, that just was filed with the clerk July 28th was
what, yesterday?
I think, well, I thought yesterday was,
No, yesterday was the 29th. I'm sorry. Yeah,
so it was filed Sunday.
Okay.
Mr. Norris, you don't have an attorney. I don't know whether you got a copy of this or not.
Well, I filled out, I went to the courthouse to the clerk, and I did put in an application for a court approval.
You weren't eligible, but I gave you an opportunity to pay a deposit and you didn't pay it. So you don't have a lawyer.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Because you weren't eligible. You made too much money, but I thought that you get a reduced rate by paying the deposit. But anyway, so I guess I don't know. Do y'all all have email? Who has not seen this report that says there have been positive drug screens by both Tyler Norris and Penny Powell?
I know nothing of a failing of a drug screen ever.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now, I haven't failed one either.
Well, the paperwork that DFACS submitted shows you did, both of you.
Right.
I have not.
And I've spoke to Miss Love about it. And, I've been clean for over 7 months now. And, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I know I haven't been using what they said I've been using.
So you know about the drug screen?
Yeah, Miss Love had called me about it. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. And we had spoke, and I told her the same thing I told you. I haven't been using, so I don't know where this bogus positive came from.
Well, I don't have any proof that it's bogus. And,
well, what about all the negative screens that they've received from me?
Well, let's see.
or was that not recorded?
I have a whole bunch of positives on you. For high levels of marijuana. The most recent one had benzoiconganine. I don't know if that's benzodiazepams. That's an anti-anxiety drug that's by prescription only.
Right. That was
Norcocaine,
the most
cocaine.
recent one. And that's the thing, because I haven't used any anxiety. I'm not prescribed anything, and I don't take medication because I don't believe in that stuff. And I sure haven't used any cocaine. But yes, I have been honest with DFACS from day one that, I do use marijuana, you know, at night,
Where's
about twice a
the
week.
where's the case? Who was? Oh, Miss Love is on the. She's on the Zoom part.
I'm on, Your Honor. I can hear
I
you.
see you. All right.
Oh, and Mr. Norris is talking, and this side of the body is
Well, I asked why he thought he had something. He said he thought this was going to be the end of the case. I don't remember anybody asking the case to be ended other than Nathan's father wants his kid with him. Who asked the case to be terminated, Mr. Norris? Because I don't have any record of that.
Well, that was just, I thought that was the whole ordeal. Like everything, we had talked about it. The last couple court dates, I wasn't at the June 10th court date because that was between Miss Norris and Mr. Hendricks.
And that was, and the continuance of that was for his
Yes,
case.
sir. Yes, sir. But we had already scheduled this. We had already scheduled this court date back in February. We just kind of bundled it into one. That was my impression.
Well, we were here in February and we by consent, gave temporary custody to grandmother of both children. And it was scheduled for today. To make sure that everything was going as planned. And I normally don't hear those for a year from the time they start, so I don't remember why we said it. I guess I said it that quickly because y'all asked me to. But we're generally checking on the placement and whether it needs to remain. So you're contending that your child should come home with you? It looks like the mother is living with grandmother. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So are you asking for custody to be placed with you?
And no, not necessarily. I'm just asking. I was just thinking that all this was going to be over with.
Well, I just had in my hand a list of a whole bunch of drug screens on all of you. And I can't put my hands on it. I don't know where I
Put it on mine because it ain't on there.
Yeah, I've got positive screens for marijuana, but that's it. The other ones are all pretty much bogus. The one that very,
Well, how
the
can the
most
same,
recent one?
Mr. Norris, tell me this, how can the same screen that you acknowledge is a legitimate screen that tests you positive for marijuana, but is bogus for amphetamines and methamphetamines?
Well, because I've been using marijuana. I haven't been using amphetamines and cocaine and benzos and stuff,
But if it's a
whatever.
bogus test, it all would be bogus. They would have, it'd test you
Not-
theoretically negative for marijuana if it's testing you positive for some other stuff. Seems to me the
No.
fact that it tests you for one that you acknowledge lends it more credible than not. Then you said that all of it was bogus.
Yeah, but I'm telling you that I haven't used.
Well, I could retire if I had enough a dollar for the person
I
who
get
told me
that. I get that. I understand that, but at the end of the day, I've seen on the internet where there have been cases in Georgia where these labs have come up with bogus positive tests.
Mhm.
So, and there's all kind of there's all kind of people suing labs for that, or from what I've seen. Whether it be, the lab that Clayton County uses, a lab that Henry County uses, labs that such and such uses. It's all over, the internet. So it definitely happens. And I can attest that I haven't used anything other than marijuana. So if I was going to lie about it, why wouldn't I just say that I used, that I didn't use anything? Why am I even here?
Ms. Crane, I'm going to let you lead off questioning the parties about your motion. And apparently I said this, why I said it 4 months out, I don't know, but I don't remember. I guess I should, but I don't. But then I'll let Ms. Miller direct questions for the parties on the judicial review of that placement to see if there's anything I need to do about modifying the placement, closing if I close it, it means that the children go back to their legal custodian, who right now is mom. Right now is grandma, but before grandma got it by consent in April, it would have been with mom. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Go ahead, Ms. Crane.
Your Honor, I'm going to call Mr. Brandon Hendricks. Mr. Hendricks, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay, go ahead. Make sure you speak up clearly and loudly for the camera so everyone can hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Hendricks, we're here today on your motion. You're asking the court to grant you temporary custody of Nathan.
Yes, ma'am.
Where does Nathan currently reside?
He resides with his grandmother.
Okay. And prior to Nathan residing with his grandmother, did you have a relationship with Nathan?
Mm-mm.
Not entirely. I've seen him a few times. When his mother would let me.
Ms. Powell, excuse me just a second.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If I hear you utter another word, you're off the hearing.
I'm not speaking, Your Honor.
You made a noise as if you
Well, there's a
no, listen to
someone
me.
in the room on the
I'm
phone.
talking to you, ma'am. Be quiet. I'm telling you this time and only this time, because you did it the last time we were here. I remember. Do not talk out of turn. Do not make faces. Do not make utterances to show your disagreement or disapproval of what someone else says. If you do, you will not be able to participate in this hearing again. So am I clear? Yes or no? Unmute your mic. I muted it so I could get you to be quiet long enough to tell you.
Yes, sir. I believe that's been fixed.
Okay, and you understood my instructions, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'll remute you until we need to hear from you. Go ahead, Ms. Crane.
Mr. Hendricks, I'm just gonna ask that question differently. Prior to Nathan being placed with his grandmother where he currently resides, what kind of relationship did you have with Nathan prior to that?
Well, me and his mother, we were together when he was born. Things happened. I was incarcerated. She got into a relationship with Naomi's father, and they didn't allow me to see him. And last summer, Brooke, she wouldn't respond when I would ask. There were a few birthdays and holidays I was able to bring them gifts and see them, but it was kind of just me showing up unexpected. I would ask of them and never receive a response, and I was blocked or didn't have a number to reach them at, or was blocked on social media. And last summer when I was injured at work, I was able to get back in contact with Nathan's mother, and she started letting me see him a little bit here and there.
Mr. Hendricks, since Nathan has been placed with Ms. Powell under the protective order, have you been able to visit with Nathan and build a relationship with him?
I have every other weekend. There's been 1 or 2 weekends that I didn't get to visit with him due to my 2 smaller children being sick, and I didn't want Nathan to be sick. But other than that, every other weekend, we go do stuff. We hang out, and I feel like we have a relationship as if we've known each other, or as if he's known me to be his father. And he calls me dad. He gets along well with his sisters. You know, you would think that they've been together since, you know,
And how
or
long would you say you've been having these every other weekend visits with Nathan?
could you repeat that?
How long, how many months have you been having every other weekend visits with Nathan?
Um, since I was seen to be his legitimate father.
I'm sorry?
Since I was seen to be his legitimate father, and the judge
Okay, but I
put
mean,
it
2 months, 5 months, 3 years?
2 or 3 months.
Right? And are your weekend visits, is that overnight? Stays the weekend with you?
He does.
And is that at your house?
It is.
And has DFACS come out and taken a look at your house?
DFACS has come in and inspected my house before. When they originally asked me if I would want him to be placed in my care, and at the time when it was first presented, I, I I told the department that I couldn't take him at the time, but then I ended up getting everything adjusted and fixed to building him a bedroom at my home and everything, because he wouldn't have had a place to sleep, so I built him a bedroom, and was on workers' comp disability. But I was able, to get my food stamps adjusted. That way I would be able to care and provide for him.
Okay, so is it your testimony that initially you were the placement that the department sought out for Nathan?
They asked me if I would consider it. And at the time I told them I could not.
Did the department reach out to you for you to be a placement for Nathan?
I believe so, they did.
Okay, and you have other children in your custody?
I do.
How many children?
2.
Okay, boys, girls?
2 girls, at the age of 3 and 5 years old.
3, okay, and how did those children come to be in your custody?
Could you repeat that?
How did you get custody of your 2 children?
I've had custody of them since last August.
How did you get custody of your 2 children?
Through Bartow County DFACS.
Your children were removed from their home by DFACS?
No, they were removed from my ex-wife's home.
Right, the children were removed from their home by DFACS.
They were removed from their mother's home.
Okay. And if you're wanting Nathan to come live with you and your 2 little girls?
Could you repeat that? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Mr. Hendricks, you're wanting Nathan to come live with you?
I would like Nathan to come live with me if that's
Where
what
will
you,
he go to school? Where will Nathan go to school if he comes to live with you?
I'm having a hard, what you're saying is echoing. It's hard for me to hear you.
What's causing you not to be able to hear?
What she's saying is echoing.
Okay, well, it's not echoing in here. I don't know. Are you on a cell phone?
I am.
Is your engine turned off?
I have headphones in. I can try to.
I just thought the noise might be interfering with your ability to hear.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hello?
And we're gonna give it about 5 more minutes, and then I'm gonna cancel this hearing and reschedule it for y'all to all come here to the courthouse, because we can't, this just isn't working.
Mr. Hendricks, can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit better.
Okay. Where will Nathan attend school if the court allows him to come live with you?
Cohen Road Elementary School.
Okay, and are you able to get him to school and pick him up in the afternoons? You have arrangements for that if he were to come stay with you?
Yes, ma'am. He would be going to school with my 5-year-old, and I take her to school every morning and pick her up every afternoon, and I would do the same with him.
Okay, great. And when do they start school at that school?
Next Monday.
Next Monday. Okay, and you said you built a bedroom at your house. He has a room now?
Yes, ma'am, he does.
Okay, and what about visitation with his mom, and his family? Are you able to coordinate, visitation so that mom has got contact with Nathan and he's visiting with his sister that's at Miss Powell's?
Yes, ma'am, that'd be more than fine. I mean, I don't want to take him away from his family. It's just I want him to be in a safe environment where he's not subject to domestic violence and a witness to drugs or anything.
Okay,
But
so are those concerns that you have for your son right now?
with hearing that they're still selling drug screens and everything, of course it is.
I'm sorry, repeat what you said. You heard what?
With hearing that they're still selling drug screens, of course, it's a concern of mine.
Okay, and do you have concerns if Nathan lives with you? Do you have concerns about him visiting at his mom's home on the weekends? What does visitation look like for you?
Well, I wouldn't object to him visiting on the weekends. That would be more than fine. And
Do you think that that would be safe?
well, I know in Bartow County how they set it up. When my ex-wife, when she couldn't comply and pass drug screens, they had put a safety plan in place where it started off to be supervised visitations the case until drug screens were being passed. They just had, I don't know if Henry County works the same way. They had, ways to make sure that the children were in a safe environment. And they, like I said, they were being transported, and it was being supervised visits from Gosha Valley.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If this court were to allow Nathan to come live with you and they ordered that mom would have visitation, she just has to pass a drug screen in order to have the visitation. You okay with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you have everything that you need to provide care for Nathan in your home?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Do you understand that what you're asking this court to do is to grant you temporary custody, and that's all this court can give you? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Do you understand that that means that Nathan's mom will continue to work towards reunification and he will stay with you until such time as she is reunited or another court grants you something more than this court can? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And are you able to help facilitate the reunification between Nathan and his mom, making Nathan available, doing what the court asks?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you prepared to take custody of Nathan today so that he can start school next Monday and get settled in?
Yes, ma'am. I've spoken to the Spalding County Registration Office and made them aware of what was going on, and they told me I just needed some type of custody order signed from the judge, and there wouldn't be an issue getting them into school.
Okay, that's all I have this time. Thank you.
Mr. Scrivonic, did you have any questions?
No, sir.
Ms. Miller?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, Mr. Hendricks?
I guess not.
Mr. Hendricks, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you discussed this with Nathan?
I have not discussed the details of the case because I've always known that to not be the right thing to do with children because they have a hard time understanding, the situation of everything that goes on with a defects case. But I have asked him, would he be open to come live with me And he told me in the beginning of our visit that he did, and then as it got closer for us to come time to go to court for the last hearing, to actually seek some type of temporary custody, it's like it kind of changed.
What do you mean it changed? What did he tell you?
That he didn't want to leave his sister.
He didn't want to leave his sister?
Yes, sir.
How old is his sister?
Naomi.
7.
She was born in 17. So she turned 7 July this. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So are those the only discussions you've had with him, is that he doesn't really want to leave his sister?
That's the only thing he said to me.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Has he expressed to you any concerns or fears about living in the house with grandma and his mom?
He expressed to me that he witnessed domestic violence of his grandfather being stabbed, and I actually sent over a video of
Did
him.
you say his grandfather was stabbed?
Yes, I was taking him home at the end of one of our every
Visit.
other weekend visits, and he started to tell me about his grandfather and his grandmother getting in a fight, and his grandfather being stabbed.
By whom?
Miss Powell.
The grandmother stabbed her husband?
I don't know if he's the husband, but it's his
Okay.
grandfather.
Oh, okay. When did this happen?
This was a few months ago. I videoed him.
Since I gave temporary custody in April? Actually, I don't know that it was April.
Yes, sir.
So it's been since April.
Yes, sir. And he's told me about the fighting going on, and
Fighting between whom?
just Miss Powell and Miss Norris, and he expressed to me, several different things, and I reported it to the caseworker.
Well, he told you about those things. Did he tell you that it scared him to be in that house with that stuff going on?
He told me that it bothered him. His words weren't exactly "I'm scared," but
Okay.
it bothered him, and he would tell me he would only tell me about the stuff as I was taking him back. So I kind of felt like that was his way of, in a way, saying he didn't want to go back, because it wasn't like he would tell me when I first picked him up, or that Saturday or that Sunday morning. It was only on the drive home, and it was just him openly telling me of stuff. I never questioned him on anything. As I said, I never spoke to this case about him or to him or anything like that. Because I've had two other kids that went through Bartow County DFACs, and I just kind of know not to speak of the case to a kid because they can't understand it.
Okay. Were you through, Ms. Miller?
Yes, sir.
You people who don't have lawyers, you have the right to ask questions of the witness, but they have to be questions. They can't be argumentative. They can't be your side of the story if you have a side of the story. So if anybody wants to ask a question and you're a party to the case, the only people that are parties are Ms. Powell and the mother. And I don't think Mr. Hendricks needs to ask questions of himself. And Mr. Tyler, I don't think, has an interest in this claim. So Ms. Powell and the mom would be the only two. And I'm not suggesting that you should ask questions, but I'm going to stop you if you do something inappropriate, and I'll just tell you, don't try again.
Mr. Norris is.
Okay, well, I can't see the waiting room on my screen, so go and let him back in. I didn't know he was gone, although I just noticed he wasn't here. So I guess I did know.
Your Honor, you know about Mr. Norris in the waiting room, right?
I didn't, because I don't have a waiting room on my screen. I don't know how to Robin just told me, so I told her to let him in.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Nathan would like to speak with you.
Okay, well, it's not his turn.
Okay, not your turn, son.
And I don't speak to children without their attorney, guardian ad litem with them. Is he saying he doesn't want to speak in front of everybody here?
No, he would love to speak in front of anybody. He wants
Okay.
to talk to you.
But does he want to speak to me in front of everybody?
Yes, he
Okay.
wants to tell the truth. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Then we'll get to it. We've got to do
Okay,
one thing at a
thank you.
time. So did you have any questions, Ms. Powell?
No, my only question would be more like a statement. You know better than all that. None of it is true,
Okay.
Brandon, and you know that.
All right. That's not what I've asked you for. That's not a question. Ms. Brooke Norris, did you have any questions for Mr. Hendricks?
No, sir. At this time, I do not have any
Okay.
questions.
All right. Who else did you want me to hear from on this claim, Ms. Crane?
My client is the only witness that I have now.
What about, you don't want anybody to tell me about these drug screens? And
Well,
they're not in evidence.
okay, then I do, yes, I'll call the department.
Ms. Love is in the call.
Sorry, it's a little backwards. I forget where I was on. Ms. Love, can you hear me? I don't see you.
I can, if you can speak a little louder, please.
Thank you. All right, can you hear me?
She said if you could speak a little louder, it would help.
All right, I'm gonna stand here if that's okay, Your Honor. Ms. Love, I've got some questions about the court report that was prepared for the hearing today. Are you familiar with that court report?
Yes,
Okay, and on the court report, it breaks down drug screens taken by Brooke Norris, Tyler Norris, and Penny Powell. Are you familiar with all three of those individuals?
yes,
Okay, and based on did you prepare this report?
I did.
Okay, and based on your report, Miss Brooke Norris, she continuing to test positive?
Yes,
Okay, when was her last positive drug screen?
her last positive drug screen was on July 15th.
Okay. And what was she positive for in that drug screen?
She was positive for amphetamine, methamphetamine, alcohol, oxycodone, and oxymorphone.
Okay. And Tyler Norris, Mr. Norris, testified earlier that his drug screens are incorrect. Mr. Norris, when was his last screen?
His last screen was on July 10th.
And was that positive or negative?
It was positive.
And what was that positive for?
So his urine was positive for marijuana. We also took a hair follicle sample that was positive for benzos, norcocaine, cocaine, methamphetamine.
And Miss Powell, when was her last screen?
Her last screen was on July 15th with a missed appointment on July 22nd.
Okay, and what were the results from the last screen?
She had ethyl glucuronide in her system and ethyl sulfate, just alcohol.
Okay. And the parties, let's start with Brooke Norris. Since the department's involvement, has Miss Norris more consistently tested positive or negative on her drug screens?
Positive.
Okay. And Mr. Norris?
Positive.
And Miss Powell?
Positive.
And have you had the opportunity to meet with Brandon Hendricks? Had
Yes.
the opportunity to go to Mr. Hendricks' home?
Yes, I have on several occasions.
Okay. And does the department find the home to be a suitable home for Nathan?
Yes.
Have you had the opportunity to observe Mr. Hendricks with Nathan?
I have not.
Have you had the opportunity to observe the other children in Mr. Hendricks' care? His
Yes.
daughters?
I have during every visit. I also call Mr. Hendricks before he picks Nathan up and after.
Okay. Is there any reason that this court should not allow Nathan to be placed with Mr. Hendricks on a temporary basis?
No,
And do you have any concerns regarding Nathan's current placement?
yes.
What are those concerns?
My concerns are that Mr. Norris and Mrs. Norris continue to test positive. Miss Penny Powell, she also tests positive for alcohol, and the levels of the alcohol tend to go up and down, mostly on the upside. And those are my current concerns.
But everything's good when me and you talk, though.
Don't interrupt, please. I don't know
Sorry.
who's talking.
Just-
It's
just
not your
saying.
turn.
Sorry, sir.
Whoever's
You're right.
talking.
That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Love, it's your understanding right now that both Brooke Norris and Tyler Norris, or Tony Norris, whichever, both live in the home with Miss Powell and the kids. Is that right?
No, Your Honor, it's my understanding that Tyler lives with his father and Brooke is in and out of the home. Sometimes she lives with Miss Powell and sometimes she lives with Tyler or either at her grandmother's home.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Norris lives.
Yes, sir. It's
Yes,
actually my grandmother's.
that is
It's
correct,
actually-
Your Honor.
It's
Mr.
actually my
Norris,
grandmother's.
Mr.
house.
Norris, hush. I told you.
I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me a
I was
question. I was
asking
answering.
her. I'm not.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That is correct, Your Honor.
I'll let you, and when it's your turn, you can correct us if we've got it wrong. I misread something in my notes. So you have concerns about Nathan living in that home with Penny Powell because she's tested positive for alcohol. Do those levels indicate that she was under the influence, intoxicated at the time you tested her?
It does, Your Honor, but I would like to add that in terms of safety, I have not had any safety concerns. The children are up to date on their dental and medical appointments. I also speak to the school counselors when school was in session. They don't have any concerns either. So in that regard, I don't have any concerns. It's more so the family working the case plan. We've had intensive counseling services and they still do test positive.
Well, I thought the mom was supposed to go to rehab and she went and either checked out early or.
Yes, Your Honor. So she did go to rehab in Florida in January. She stayed for about a month. She did check out. I've explained to Mrs. Norris that that was not suitable. That was not the recommendations of the agency or the assessment from last year. Since then, I've made diligent efforts, weekly almost, finding resources, both from St. Jude, different counselors, and asking and almost begging Mrs. Norris to go to a treatment facility. She told me she was not going to do that. And she was going to go to another facility to be retested to see if her levels went down.
All right. Because I was going to ask you if you've got safety concerns about Nathan, why aren't you doing something about the other child?
I'm sorry, what would you say, Your Honor?
I said, if I was questioning that if you just said you did not have safety concerns about Nathan being in that house, but that if you did, why you hadn't asked to do something about Naomi getting her out of the house.
Yeah, that's what I was stating, Your Honor. There aren't safety concerns. It's more so the family not working the case plan, not being compliant, continuing to test positive. With Miss Powell, she did stop drinking once. She was hospitalized for a health condition, and then it's like the drinking will start back. So we did put services in place, but at the time it wasn't affecting there weren't any safety concerns.
Well, and there still isn't as we sit here today.
I don't have any safety concerns, Your Honor. I also would like to speak to the domestic violence allegation earlier. I did address those concerns immediately when Mr. Hendricks brought them to my attention. I also spoke to Nathan in private, and he stated that he heard Ms. Powell arguing with her ex-husband in the living room. He was not in the living room at the time. He was in the bedroom. He said he did hear someone saying they were going to stab someone. I also spoke to Ms. Powell, And I advised her that she should not be threatening people and tell them that she's going to stab them, whether the children are present or not. The grandfather is alive and he was not stabbed.
Does he live in that home?
He does not live in that home. From what I'm being told, he visits from time to time, but not often at all.
Well, what does the agency plan to do if the drug screens continue to be positive? When does it become a safety concern, if ever?
Your Honor, when I reviewed the case, it came in from a private dependency, and then Ms. Powell filed for temporary custody. From my understanding, and she's not present today, Mrs. Blackman is my supervisor. She was explaining to me that we didn't place the children with Ms. Powell, and then it would be a family matter. So from this point, at this time, I'm not certain where the case will go at this time in terms of defects and what we're going to do with the parents.
All right. Anybody else have any questions for Ms. Love?
Your Honor, from the department's perspective, we would ask that the amended report that was submitted be tendered into evidence and made a part of the record.
Any objection? All right, it's admitted. You had questions for Ms. Love?
I do. Ms. Love, is Nathan in any sort of therapy?
Can you repeat the question?
Is Nathan in any sort of therapy?
Not at this time. They were receiving individual therapy that was completed.
That is in the children or that is in the parents?
Excuse me, it was the children as well. It was family counseling, but the counselor met with the family as a whole and then also individually.
Okay. Was there any discussion between the counselor and Nathan about him maybe leaving his sister and going to live with his dad?
No, because the counseling services ended months ago, and that was prior to us attending the legitimation hearing.
Sorry, I don't have anything for that.
Any other questions for Ms. Love?
Just one to clarify, Your Honor. Ms. Love, I'm going to ask you again, just to clarify for the court, based on the testimony you just gave. Is it the department's position that they would like to see the child living with his father, Brandon Hendricks, on a temporary basis?
We don't have any objection to it. That is his father, and our goal is permanency, and we recognize that Ms. Powell is their grandmother and that Mr. Hendricks is a father.
Thank you.
Be involved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does that conclude your case? Ms. Crane? Okay. Nathan? I'm going to let you go next. Remember when you took an oath to swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir, because Brandon never raised me.
Wait. You know what it means to swear to tell the truth?
Yes, I understand that.
Has anybody talked to you and told you what to say to me?
No.
Okay. Did anybody tell you you would get to talk to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Al, don't do that again.
What did I do, sir?
You just told him what to say.
Brooke walked by. I'm not talking. Yes, sir.
You said yes when he was, and he said yes. Just be
I'm
quiet.
gonna just leave him right here and I'm gonna move.
Okay, that's good. No hand signals from outside. All right. Nathan, how old are you?
Good.
How old are you?
8.
What's your birthday? What grade did you just graduate from in school?
I graduated in 2nd grade and I'm going into 3rd.
Congratulations. Are you looking forward to school?
Yes.
What's your favorite subject?
Math.
Okay. What's your least favorite subject? Which class would you rather not be in if you had a choice? Maybe you like all of them.
Reading, I don't really like it, and it's kind of boring to me because I don't usually read. I usually do pluses and times.
Okay. But that's how you learn what terms mean, is by reading. Did you know that?
No.
If you read enough, you learn what the word means by all the other words in the sentence. It gives you a hint about what they mean, and you get an idea.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
It's neat.
All right. So how much time have you spent at your dad, Mr. Hendricks's house?
Usually every week until like Brandon's siblings like are sick, or like on like Mother's Day I stay here,
Mhm.
or on like that's when I usually stay. And usually on Father's Day I go to Tyler's house because he raised me, and and Brandon left. So my mom had to, like, she found Tyler, and they started to like each other because Brandon wasn't there to take care of me or her. So Tyler started taking care of me.
Okay.
And like Penny has not, like, so
Wait. Penny is your grandmother, isn't she?
yes,
Why do you call her by her first name? Why don't you call her Granny or Mama or Grandma?
I usually call her Pippi or like Grandma.
Just pal, leave the room.
Yes, sir.
Leave. Get out of the house. Go out on the front porch.
Yeah.
I was, sir. I was in the restroom.
Well, go. I heard you yelling at him from another room. Go outside the house.
P-I-P-I. All my grandchildren call me Pippi.
All I ask you to do is go outside on the front porch.
She is gone. Yes,
What do you call your grandmother?
Pippi.
Okay. But you called her Penny a minute ago. Why were you calling her by Penny?
Because usually at court people call, like kids call their
No.
parents by the first name.
No, they don't, but that's okay.
Okay.
Tell me, how long have you lived with your grandmother, Pippi?
About 1 year, or like 7 months, or like
Okay.
like
Not
8.
all your life.
Oh, like a very long time ago.
Okay.
Me and my grandma took me to California because
Nathan.
yes, sir.
I don't need to hear about that, but thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
I want you to tell me, have you enjoyed the stays at your dad's, at Mr. Hendricks's house when you've gone over on the weekends?
Not really. No.
You didn't enjoy it?
No.
That's weird because your family said you did. Did you just think that's what they wanted to hear? So you told them something different that wasn't true?
Yes.
Okay. So the truth is you didn't really like going over there and you went because we made you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I don't understand why you would tell a story about that. If you didn't like it, why you wouldn't tell people you didn't like it?
Because I think it would start a fight.
Well, I would think you might worry about it hurting his feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it.
Yeah. That would kind of do that, wouldn't it?
Yes.
All right. Who spends most time at Hippie's house? Who does most of the work taking care of you, making food for you, cleaning your clothes, making sure you get up for school on time, making sure you got clean clothes? Who does that?
My mom, Pip, and sometimes Tyler comes over to visit, and sometimes he does the dishes and stuff.
Okay.
It helps me.
Well, tell me, what do you do?
So I'm usually like in my bed. I have a game system, and I play with my dad on a game called Fortnite.
Okay. I thought that was an adult game, but you must be smart if you're able to play what I thought was older teens or adult game.
It's not like it doesn't show blood or anything.
Okay.
It's like,
I don't play games, so I'm not that familiar with them. I've just heard of them. But tell me, are you happy living with you where you are now?
yes, I'm very happy.
Have you ever seen Pippi drunk?
No,
Have you ever seen your mom drunk or high?
no,
Do you know what people look like when they're drunk or high?
no, not really. No.
Okay. Well, you know your family your mom has used some pretty serious drugs in the past.
Yeah, she used to do that about a year ago.
Well, she went off to Florida to go get help.
Yeah, she did. And
So you've never seen her when she needed help at home?
Yes.
You have? Okay.
Yes, my honor.
All right. But you haven't seen Pippi like that.
No. She's always normal.
Okay.
She's
Have you seen Tyler?
no, I never see him.
Okay,
Drunk
good.
or anything.
All right. So I gather you would like to stay where you are and not go spend more time with your dad.
I like it here. I want to stay here, and I want to let them raise me.
Okay. Well, what we would like for kids to be able to do is have their parents raise them at some point. But you're maybe not quite ready for that yet, but you trust your grandmother to look after you.
Yes. She feeds me, bathes me. Sometimes Tyler bathes me.
Well, you're old enough to bathe yourself, I think, aren't you?
Yeah, I usually do. Like I
Okay.
bathe myself a lot, like more often, but I usually can't read
You take
all.
at least 3 baths a day, don't you?
Like that's my mom who does it. So I take a bath a day, and the next day I don't. But after that day, I do.
Okay. Every other day, whether you need it or not.
Like if I sometimes when I get really dirty, I like the next day when I already had a bath yesterday, I take a bath even though I had one yesterday when I'm dirty.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Nathan? Thank you for answering my questions, Nathan, and talking to me.
You're welcome.
Some kids who are kind of bashful, they don't like to talk to the judge in person or on Zoom, either one. Ms. Miller, do you have anything? Ms. Crane?
There's no anything that's crazy.
Sir?
There's nothing that is bad, but at Brandon's neighborhood, sometimes I hear screaming across the neighborhood, and it scares me. And there's glass on the road when I walk, and I hurt myself.
Okay. Well, you won't be too upset if you go keep spending time at your dad's, will you?
I won't be that mad, but if I have to live with him, I will be sad.
You'll be sad or mad or what?
Sad and mad.
Okay, sad and mad. All right. Ms. Crane, go ahead. Ms. Crane is going to ask you a question or two. She's your lawyer. She's your dad's lawyer.
Hi, Nathan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
It's nice to meet you, sweetheart. How are you?
Good.
Good. Nathan, can you tell me what are some of the things that you do with your dad when you go visit him?
Sometimes we have fun, but I usually get hurt, and I have scrapes on my leg because of him. I have bruises.
Okay, but what activities do you do with your dad when you go visit him?
Whatever the girls want to do.
Okay. Do you ever get to pick something to do?
Not like feels like never, but only one time.
Okay.
Because he never has fun. Like I never have fun with him because it's never fun places where I like to go because I would usually like to go to. We only went one place where there's only one place where I like to go, and he only bring me there one time, and he bring me there for my sister's birthday.
Okay.
Because
So
it was a skating park.
okay.
A skateboard.
So you said you don't like going to your dad's. You don't like going there. Why? Because he's not taking you all the places that you want to go? Why do you not like going there?
Because I usually get hurt a lot and it hurts me.
Who told you that you get hurt a lot at your dad's?
No, I get hurt a lot because I have bruises on my leg and I have scrapes.
From what?
From where he brings me to a river where I got scraped all over and hurt my foot.
He brought you to a river?
Yes, and
why?
I don't know why, because he wants me to have fun, and I tell him I don't want to go here, but he already is telling me we're going here, and I told him, but we were already there.
Oh, okay. So he brought you to a river to have fun.
Yes.
Did he leave you there?
No.
Okay, so he spent time with you?
Yes.
And how did you get hurt?
Because when I slided down when I just wanted to try it out, I hurt my ankle and I scraped my leg a lot, and I have a bruise from it because
Okay. And can
I
you
hurt
tell
my.
me, can you tell me how that's your dad's fault? How did your dad cause that to happen?
Because he told me to come sit, and I started sliding down when I came sitting down, and I started sliding down. It's not Tyler who did that, it was Brandon.
Yes, Brandon's your dad, right?
He left me when I was young, so
Oh, okay.
he
How
left me
young,
at
how
Temperance,
young were you? How young were you when he left you, Brandon?
like 1 or like
Nathan, I'm
2.
sorry. Nathan, how old were you when Brandon left you?
1.
Do you remember the day he left?
No,
Who told you about it?
my mom, because my mom used to be with him.
Mm-hmm. Do you
And
know a lot of stuff about the grown-ups in the house there? Like who they've been with and when they left? Do you hear a lot about that stuff?
no,
But you know about this.
I know about this.
Okay. And did you know that your dad would like for you to come live with him temporarily?
Has he already signed me up for school? Because my grandma already has my school stuff, my backpack, and she already is signing me up for school, and I'm almost already ready.
No, that's good, darling. No, I'm just wondering, do you understand that your dad wanted you to come stay with him temporarily? Do you know what temporary means, Nathan?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so temporary means not forever, okay? Temporary means not forever. Do you know that your dad wanted you to come live with him not forever?
I did not know that, but I really like my own house I have right now. It's nice, and I have stuff I like. Brandon only has a small trailer, which is small, and he doesn't have any dresses. He doesn't have any a dresser or any clothes or any stuff for me to come live with him except for a bed. That's it.
I just don't know if this.
It's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's good. You know what, Nathan? I'm done, sweetheart, and I thank you very much. I know you can't see me. I can see you on the screen though. And thank you for being here. Okay, and you did a really good job.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you, Nathan.
You're welcome.
I don't have too many 8-year-olds, sometimes not even teenagers that want to talk. So you did real well.
Thank you.
And I hope you're telling me what you want to tell me, not what someone told you to tell me. Okay?
Okay, but like when my grandpa
That didn't require you to say anything. I just want you to
yes, sir.
that's the best course to take if you ever have to come back again. Is there are a lot of times there are people that tell you what they want you to know and say, but you need to say what you want to say. That's why you get a chance to talk. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And Nathan, when you and I, this is Miss Miller, when you and I talked, you said that really the primary reason your grandmother is because of Naomi. Is that right?
Yes, and I want to stay at my house and stay with Naomi. And the girls at Brandon's are bad, and they are very bad.
Okay.
And they hurt me and a lot, and that's why.
Okay, we're not going to talk about all the bad stuff. We're just going to talk about that you like living with Naomi for right now, right?
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Like there's nothing else.
No. Okay. I was trying to think who I need to talk to less. Where's your mom? I don't know where did she go.
She is right in here.
I see her. She's back on the screen now.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Brooke Norris, you're under oath. Is there anything you want to tell me about Mr. Hendricks's claim for temporary custody of Brandon? I'm sorry, Nathan.
In my opinion, sir, if you'd like a third week in a month, that would be fine. I would like more time to make sure to get my affairs in order and continue. So I took it upon myself to go get reevaluated at McIntosh Trail, and I'm working with the sponsor and meetings. But as for my opinion on that, if you'd like a third weekend and get 3 weekends out of the month, I think that would be great. But I disagree with it, sir.
Okay. Well, tell me when did you get this new evaluation at McIntosh Trail?
I went on June 13th and I completed the Addiction Severity Index Substance Abuse Assessment. It's the same assessment that I took last August of 2023, which is what DFACS is basing the recommendation off of. So the results stated I didn't meet the criteria for ASAM level 2.1, which is intensive outpatient, so that it'd be improbable that I would complete it. However, they recommended I do weekly classes, and I am financially working on that because McIntosh doesn't accept insurance classes, they accept cash. But I was able to get a sponsor, and I'm actively in meetings, and I am actually working 2 jobs now.
When you say meetings, you're talking about Celebrate Recovery or NA?
Yes, sir, I am.
Well, those are excellent programs. They don't help some people, but they help a lot of people, but they are not treatment. They are not therapy.
Right.
You need to follow, you've had that recommendation over a month. And
Yes.
there are other providers besides McIntosh Trail that will take insurance or will work something out with you. So you need to get into those sooner than later.
Yes, sir, weekly, and I will be. Yes, sir.
The potential disadvantage, I'm glad you went and got retested, but I think you sound to me smart enough to realize that when you've already taken the assessment once and you know where you scored higher, you can kind of manipulate your responses to get a better score. You know what
It's
I mean?
more of a basis to keep a monitor on my recovery and see where I'm at in my recovery. But yes, sir, I can see that.
But you're still failing drug screens, and you skipped and refused several, I think. So it doesn't sound like you're well into recovery to me. I'm not a licensed drug counselor or therapist, but I've seen an awful lot of people who need help in that regard. And you had actually, let's see, I may have misread it. It may have been Ms. Powell that was refusing tests. You refused one in June. And the last 2 back to July the 3rd have been negative, and they didn't report this last set on the other 2. They didn't say anything about you, so I assume that meant you hadn't been tested or but you're not out of the woods, because I
Yes.
just tell you, and you know this, that this stuff creeps up on people faster than they can say boo. And next thing you know, they're into it and spiraling down, and you got to stay aggressive in your efforts to stay clean and to get the help to help you stay clean.
Yes, sir.
Go get Miss Powell off the front porch.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything you want to tell me, Miss Powell, about Mr. Hendricks's request for temporary custody of Nathan, other than you disagree with it?
I disagree, not because I don't like Brandon. I disagree because Nathan's been having night terrors about it and making me promise he would not be taken from me, that I'm all he's ever known. My home is all he's ever known. I'm a good grandma. I do not do drugs. I am not a drunk because I drink wine. I'm under doctor's care. I'm on 12 different medications, none of them being illegal drugs. I have them where they need to be. They are loved. They are softly disciplined. They know right from wrong. They are happy. They're happy, well-adjusted children. I want him to know Brandon. I want the day to come where I don't have to bribe him and beg him to go spend the weekend with his biological. But you can't make a little boy that's only known one family his whole life, and in 1 year, to my feelings, you can't snatch that child up, kicking and screaming and doing more mental damage to the child than he's already been through. He and Naomi both have been through so much, and I have been there to pick up the pieces every minute, every step of the way, all while trying to love the parents through their trials and tribulations. I'm trying to love everybody and be fair, but my priority is my grandchildren.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Powell?
No, sir.
I'm sorry, I didn't give anybody an opportunity to ask the mom any questions. Did you have any? All right. Mr. Norris, you don't really have a dog in the fight about Mr. Mr. Hendricks's claim for temporary custody, but since you correctly pointed out to me that we had already scheduled this hearing date to review the placement of both kids with Ms. Powell, as you can tell, names are just going in one ear and out the other. But is there anything you want to tell me about the review of your child being placed temporarily with Ms. Powell? Do you continue to be okay with that?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it.
Okay. All right. Well, does Naomi come to your house or do you come over to Miss Powell's house to see Naomi?
Well, kind of both, really. I mean, most of the time I go over there. But every now and then I'll come and get her and take her over where I'm at. And you know, it's kind of seldom though. I would like to do it more. But the majority of the time I come over there because Nathan's there as well, and I go ahead and get my visitation of both of them.
All right. You lawyers have any questions for Mr. Norris?
Is he married to mom, or why do they have the same last name?
Ms. Miller, I don't know if you could hear her. She asked if you were married to the mother. Otherwise, why do you have the same last name?
I am married to the mother now. As far as when Naomi was born, we were not married yet.
Okay,
so we are.
that's okay. Are you separated, married but separated?
I'm not exactly sure what to label that at the moment. As of this very moment, I can say that we're pretty much separated.
Well, you don't live together as husband and wife. That doesn't mean you can't get back together, but you're
Right,
currently
right.
physically separate and
Yes,
live in
sir.
separate homes, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. But maybe y'all are rekindling the flame slowly.
Maybe. I mean, that's one of those things why I can't really say one
Yeah,
way or
well,
the other.
it takes two to get it done. So
Yes, sir.
sometimes Ms. Miller's a curious person.
Listed him as a putative father.
But if you married the mother after the birth, there's a difference between whether you're the legal father of the child or the putative father. In Georgia, putative fathers don't have any rights to anything involving their children that they weren't married to the mother. But when you married the mother after conception and birth, you legitimated the child by operation of law. So you're the legal father of the child.
Okay.
Until some court, did y'all do paternity tests?
No, sir. I just pretty much know that she's mine.
Okay. Well, I've had people tell me that, and at age 17, they found out they weren't. So
I hope that ain't the case.
I'm
I
not
doubt it.
suggesting that you go out and get paternity tests. I'm just asking for my own information.
Yeah. I got you, sir. It's all right. I understand. No, I don't. Yeah, we haven't had any kind of paternity test. It's just, I got faith.
All right. So I've heard, anybody else have anything to tell me as an update on the underlying case where by consent, temporary custody was given to Penny Powell for an indefinite period of time? Everybody's okay with leaving that like it is, subject to what I do about Nathan, whether or not to go live with dad?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Norris, you okay?
For temporary, or you said indefinite?
Temporary.
Temporary. Okay. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
And Mr. Hendricks, you're okay with everything except your claim that you want Nathan to come live with you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any of you lawyers have anything before I close this out? Did defects have anything else, Mr. Scrivonic?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Honor. That's not contained in the court report.
Ms. Love, was there something you needed addressed or wanted to address that somebody didn't ask you about?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
I just have some.
Okay. Talk louder, because I can barely hear you and they need to hear you. Ms. Miller has something she wants to tell us. She represents the child and the child's best interests as guardian ad litem.
And I'm both of the children's.
Yeah, but I'm
And
sorry.
both of the children, which is kind of a contrary thing in this case, because, Naomi isn't gonna want me to think that, but anyway, At this point, I'm not asking you to deny Mr. Hendricks's motion for custody, but what I'm asking you to do is to continue custody with Ms. Powell. I want Naomi and Nathan to be put back in therapy. And since the mother's already agreed to it, I want to go ahead and give dad another weekend to have visitation with the child. And come back here maybe 90 days and review the case and see where we are at that point.
Okay. Anybody else want to be heard?
Just suggest that it be 60 days. Because retirement is still earlier. Doesn't make any sense for a new judge to hear it. It needs to be reviewed, Your Honor. I think to be heard at the end of September or something.
Your Honor, I'm gonna have to agree and ask the same thing, especially if we're not going to have a final ruling on the temporary custody today, because of your familiarity with this. If the court's not inclined to change custody today, and I do understand the position, I heard the child, I heard what everyone else heard. My client's position is that this child is in an environment where we have 3 grown adults who continue to test positive for any variety of illegal or illegal substances. A child who I think it is abundantly clear through his speech and behavior today has been manipulated against his father. And we are still asking this court to consider temporary placement with my client. His home has been approved. He has custody of his other 2 children. He is not testing positive for any legal or illegal substances. He works, can provide for the child, and can get the child enrolled in school next Monday to start with his system, with his and can facilitate the relationship between the Naomi and Nathan. However, I'm absolutely in line with Guardian ad litems that this child, both of these children, but this child specifically, needs to be in some sort of therapeutic services. And if the court is not inclined to grant our motion today, I would just ask them that we not rule one way or the other, and follow the Guardian ad litems recommendation.
All right. Ms. Powell, I meant to ask you something. How many drugs did you say you took by doctor's prescriptions?
She's muted.
You're muted. Turn on your microphone again. I like you muted, but I need to hear what you say.
Okay, I'm on various cholesterol, common, blood pressure, diabetic medicine, as I am a diabetic. I do not take shots, but I take pills. I am told by the doctor my red wine at night is fine, as I don't want to have to live on Xanax. I do not have 3 criminals in my home. My daughter has problems.
No, I did. Wait, I asked you about your
Oh,
medication.
yes, sir.
Okay, so stop.
Yes, sir.
Now you took the wind out of my sail, because what I wanted you to do between now and the next time I see you is go to your family doctor, your primary care doctor, whoever gives you all these meds, and get them to write a statement that they are aware that you reasonably, as best I can tell, consume alcohol, and that it does not interact with negatively with any of the prescription drugs that you take. Because I'm amazed, alcohol is not usually recommended for diabetics, not without very careful, because the alcohol has sugars in it, and it has other stuff that it just doesn't do well. Doesn't mean that there are diabetics out there that drink, I know, but
well, the doctor
listen.
Yes, sir.
You've got a lot on your plate. Raising grandkids, keeping a house straight, trying to keep these adults straight, and you've got to be sharp as a tack. And if you've got drugs, prescription drugs, that a lot of those drugs I take some of those drugs, and they tend to make me a little more tired than I would be otherwise. I fatigue a little easier. And when you add alcohol to the mix, that can be even more. And you can't afford to be fatigued and tired and wanting to go to bed at 6 when these kids are up running around.
Never have I.
Well, that's great, but I want to make sure it doesn't happen while it's on my watch, okay?
Yes, sir.
I want you to talk to your doctor and make sure that he understands what you're drinking. Of course, the defects worker said the levels, alcohol does not stay in your system long enough to test on one of these screens, but a day or two.
Yes,
Which
sir.
means several times they've caught you within a day or two of having been drinking, because it usually gets out, you pee it out of your system as fast as it gets in there.
I
And-
drink 2 glasses of wine every night in the evening
Okay.
before I go to bed, as requested by my doctor for my high blood pressure.
I want to know what doctor prescribes wine for high blood pressure. What's his
Okay,
name?
I'll get all that information wrote
No,
down.
just tell me, what's his name now? You can tell me.
Kevin Curry in McDonough.
Okay, I know of Dr. Curry. I don't know him. Okay,
And then I have Dr. Ronald Watts is my diabetic doctor.
okay. All right.
And then I have a heart doctor for
Oh.
preventative, but I'm not on any kind of heart medication.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to find that the placement remains appropriate. I've got some reservations, and I'll tell you about those in a minute. I'm not going to grant Dad's request for temporary custody at this time. The defects worker said she had no safety concerns, but they're still working with people who seem to be difficult to get to the trough to deal seriously with a substance abuse problem, at least with Mom. Mr. Norris, I don't know how much longer defects is going. I suspect, reading between the lines, that defects is going to be closing its file pretty soon, and you may be on your own about getting drug screens. But Mr. Norris, that should suit you, because you have badmouthed their testing, so you can go pay somebody to test you, and you get to pick somebody to make sure you don't get somebody that's on the take or has bad equipment or whatever. But we're going to come back at the end of September before I retire, and I'm going to see how things are doing. So all this is left open as far as Mr. Hendricks's claim for temporary custody. School is starting. I want Nathan to be where he's most accustomed to be to start school. I don't generally have any problem with expanding visits, but I hesitate to do it right now at the beginning of school, him getting adjusted. I don't know how much homework. What did he say? He was going to the 3rd grade?
Yes, sir. He's going to 3rd grade.
Okay, I don't know how much homework they bring home, but I'm going to leave the visitation like it is. And depending on what I hear about at the September hearing, then I will add that 3rd weekend. I don't have any problem with y'all voluntarily working things out when you see what the school schedule is. But I want everybody to be civil. If it wasn't in the last order, get along. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. I expect you to continue. As long as defects is in the case, I could expect you to continue. I don't want any more refused drug screens, Ms. Powell. I don't care. You pee in the cup, you let them pinch off some hair, whatever they ask for between now and the end of September. And I'm going to see what these results are. And if these results aren't negative for everybody, Mr. Norris, Ms. Norris, and Ms. Powell, then we're going to make some changes. And I don't know what those will be. But okey doke.
You order on this now.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. And I want the kids, Ms. Lowe, I hope you can be of assistance to at least direct them, if not put an authorization in to assist with some more individual counseling for these kids. It sounds like they have been through a lot, and they need somebody to talk to.
Okay, I will, Your Honor.
And Ms. Powell, as the placement resource, has to cooperate with arranging for those visits, and that they not miss visits with their therapist. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm sorry, if I may, I'm gonna ask Your Honor to please reconsider notwithstanding the visitation at this time. If the court is hesitant to expand the visitation because school is starting and the child will have homework, that is a wonderful opportunity for some parent-child bonding. Mr. Hendricks could also be doing homework and school projects and being involved, because if what we have here is accusations I'm hearing of him maybe not having been around to be involved in these things, this would be a great opportunity. This would encourage the relationship between Mr. Hendricks and his son. It would give him the opportunity to do some of those things that a parent should be doing while we slowly look at transition this child. I'm going to ask that you reconsider. It is a very small expansion that is not going to impact that child's education.
Right.
It would give the father the opportunity to be involved with them at that level.
Okay. I'll authorize the expansion for September. And So August will stay like it is, and then it'll change to 3 weekends in August. I mean, in September, I'm sorry. Thank you for those comments.
Yeah.
All right. Thank everybody for their time. Ms. Powell, you got a lot to take care of. Y'all take care.
Yes, sir. You as well.
Thank you. You too.